John, I'm not doing the intro because the only people that listen to this are people that already fucking love us.
Well, you don't know that.
No, I do know that. I've looked at the data. I've analysed it.
Hang on, that's ridiculous. Because then, as our podcast grows, as we become world fucking famous, like Joe Rogan style, there'll be people flocking to us who've never heard of us.
Yeah, but they would have heard of us because that's the reason they're flocking.
You don't know that because we'll start appearing at the top of searches.
See, so this is I've been doing extensive research into social media, which is kind of ironic. The longer form content, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. So what we're going to be doing, yeah, and it's quite genius. We're going to be recording these, and we've told Holly to stop sanitizing them. To stop. We record these, and they're half an hour, 45 minutes. Holly sanitizes the shit out of them, removes all of the best bits.
So they're like 2 minutes long.
Yeah, removes all of the jokes about children and priests and whatnot. But they don't do very well in the search algorithms. They don't do very well, particularly on YouTube. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be even more ruthless, even far less sanitized, and we're going to be getting little 2 to 10 minute clips. We're going to get 3 of them per long video. They're going to be uploaded almost as like promos, and then the podcast is going to drop. So anyone that clicks, and they're far more likely to click a 5 minute video than an hour long video, it guarantees that the longer video will pop up in their For You page. Genius.
I can't wait to see this.
Hey, and then I'll start doing the intro because you'll be absolutely right. Hordes of people will be turning up.
Is this going to work as well as your reactivation of our old Facebook group, do you think?
Oh, that. Hey, I pulled. You know how you say you're not very good at spotting a liar. You take things at face value.
Hmm.
Yeah, I had your pants down there. Yeah, you'd pissed me off or something, and I was just like, I'm gonna absolutely tarnish this twat's reputation. For those that don't know about this infamous event, we had a Facebook group with several hundred members in. I think maybe even over 1,000. It was a fair
Probably
few.
still got it. I don't know.
Yeah, we do, but it's dead as a dodo. Yeah, Facebook's shite. Anyway, we had this group, legacy group, and typically we'd used it and we'd done relatively well, not remarkably well out of it, made a few sales here and there, but we let it go dead because running something like that to a bunch of freeloaders, fucking time wasters, is just demoralizing. It was just a pain in the fucking ass. Hence why we've got the new bronze community where the only way in is if you've fucking bought a book, because that means you're a good caliber of person. Good people tend to read books, and you've had to invest to get in the front door. Anyway, that's not relevant to the story. We had this group, and someone said to me, "Hey, you're an idiot for letting that group go dead." And I was like, "But I don't want to." And they were like, "Connor, do you want to make more money?" I was like, "Yeah." And they said, "All right, do this." And they sent me a
This
script
wasn't
of.
me, by the way.
No, it wasn't John. It was someone
This
else.
wasn't me.
They sent me 10 posts. They were like, "Just follow these 10 posts, and people will start coming back to your group." Why I ever believed them is beyond me. What can you remember any of the posts?
No, because it's one of those things where the memory is so traumatic, my mind has just blanked it out. Bearing in mind you were posting as me, I gave you my login. You were posting as me, and it was the most embarrassing, inane shit. Things like, what kind of ice cream does your sister-in-law's hat have on it? That kind of thing, It was really fucking bad. And I said to him at the time, I says, Connor, I'm so glad you live 300 miles away so I don't have to beat your ass with a stick. And of course, predictably, it failed comprehensively.
Oh, it was awful. Didn't work one bit. Did not work one bit. In fact, all the wrong people started engaging, and you started turning up to every morning call with your Warhammer on show going, Connor!
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine what that's done to my reputation? I mean, there are actually human beings out there, people who think I'm a nice bloke now, who likes engagement. I mean, that's fucking. I've spent 20 years cultivating this image of being a complete and utter cunt, and you trash it in 5 minutes.
If anything, John, it just shows that we're willing to experiment, and it gives us even more kudos to bash those engagement baiters. Anyway, John, you was very eager for this podcast episode today. So eager that you changed the topic twice.
I looked down this morning and I realised I'd actually dribbled in my underpants at the thought of it. Just a little bead of pre-cum in there, you know. And I thought that's because of my upcoming conversation with Connor on the podcast. There's two industries in particular which have suffered what I call a perfect storm for different reasons, although the effect is the same. And I think it's going to affect everybody to some extent. And it highlights a bigger problem. Now, let's talk about the bigger problem first. The bigger problem is this: it's when business is easy to get, okay, because of external conditions. And no matter what you do, you know, it's like the Midas touch, everything turns to gold. And we see this all the time. It even happens in cycles and industries. I mean, a good example is an old client of mine from probably 17 years ago. She was a physiotherapist. And what happens in physiotherapy, and this happens in all professions, by the way, so it's not just physiotherapy. This happens in all professions. And by professions, I mean where you have to be qualified, probably by some objective measure. You can't just do it like marketers. What happens is in physiotherapy and plumbing and electricians and everything else, mechanics, whatever, is let's start at any point in the cycle. So let's start at the point in the cycle where there's loads of business, there's loads of work and not enough people to do it. That's why there's loads of work. So everyone at school who perhaps either wants to go to university or even leave and become an apprentice and whatever, they think, oh, there's fucking loads of work in physiotherapy. I'll become a physiotherapist. So, of course, everyone goes into physiotherapy. Masses of people go into physiotherapy. So 5-6 years later, there's loads of physiotherapists and they all set up on their own because there's loads of work. And all of a sudden, there's not loads of work anymore and there's loads of competition. So nobody goes into physiotherapy because there's no work, it's hard, and there's loads of competition. So 5 or 6 years later, there are no physiotherapists. So suddenly, there's loads of work again. And that happens. This is a predictable cycle. Now, I don't know what the time scale is. I said 5 or 6 years. It might be 10. I don't know. But this happens. It happens with electricians. It happens with plumbers. It happens with mechanics. It happens with lawyers. It happens with everybody. And it's predictable. All right? And it's fucking obvious why it happens. The problem is when business is easy to get, you think, I don't have to do anything. This is great. It will always be this way. And especially if you're new to business, because the human brain, basically, human beings, we assess risk not by any objective measure unless we force ourselves to do it. We measure risk by how recently these conditions were obtaining before. This is why we have boom and bust in the economy, because people think, yeah, housing market's going up, it'll always go up. We've not had a recession for 20 years, it's never going to happen. Well, the fact we've not had one for 20 years means it's really very likely we're going to have one very soon. And there will be a market correction, as they call it, a crash. People never learn. Well, so when people get busy, and physiotherapy patients or clients are easy to get, or plumbing clients are easy to get, or electricians, or carpentry, or you name it, people don't do any marketing because, well, we don't need any of that shit. It's easy. Nah, those bad times are behind us. But of course, when the work dries up, you realise, shit, I've got no marketing in place. I've got no business. I've not saved any money, because what I didn't realise is that I was so easy to get work, and I was always got enough money. I didn't realise it was actually really fairly low paid work, and now I don't have very much of it. I've got even less money than before. All right, and so what do? They compete on price, which makes things even worse. This happens now. This time it's happened because of COVID. So it's not the normal boom and bust of say construction or freelancing, and these are two professions I'm talking about in particular right now. It's not the normal boom and bust of freelancing and construction. It's an artificial one created by COVID. And what happened was, for construction, people were no longer going out. They were no longer going on holidays. They had all this surplus cash. It was harder to move house. So what should we do? Oh, let's just fucking let's build. Let's change. Let's renovate. Let's do up. All right. So there's loads of work. So all these construction guys, and we were focusing on construction at the time, they leave us in droves. Oh, we don't need you guys. We can do this ourselves because there's loads of money, loads of work, loads of gross, yeah, but not much net. So these construction guys, what they did, a lot of them was they go and splash out on vans, on kit, on bigger premises, on staff. No marketing, don't need that shit. Save ourselves some money. And I predicted what would happen, and it has now happened. You know, it started about 6 months ago, and right now we're in the middle of it. It dries up. People have spent their money. People are now going out. They're now going on holidays. They're moving house, whatever. So a lot of these construction guys, they've got bigger bills, all right, because they've got cars to pay for, vans to pay for, premises to pay for, kit to pay for, staff to pay. And there's loads more competition because also what happened in COVID was loads of guys were laid off the building site. So what do? They set up on their own. So all you can do. So you've got more competition, less work. A lot of guys have got expenses. The government money has stopped coming in and some of it's got to be repaid. Like I said, a perfect fucking storm.
Another thing to add to that is getting staff was so fucking hard for construction companies then. It's because every cunt set up on their own. Every single bastard saw how easy it was and how much money there was to be made and just went up on their own. Construction industry was so much work. The construction industry was one of the first industries that was allowed to restart, especially things like plumbing, electricians and whatnot, because it was deemed emergency work. So if you're employed and you're laid off and you're getting paid through the furlough scheme, and all of a sudden you're allowed to into people's houses and there's an inordinate amount of work, you're not going to work anymore. You're going to quit and set up your own thing. You're going to, because you ain't got much experience in the biz, you're going to fill your order book for the next 6 months. And this is a strange thing, John. I'd be interested in your opinion on this. In the world of construction, in fact, in the world of business, it seemed to be a good thing to have a 6 month to a year long order book, fully booked for the year. They see it as a badge of honor. I think that they've just met demand, so therefore they've just fucked their own pricing. It's far better to never meet all of the demand, just meet, say, a couple of months of it, because that shows your pricing's better. It shows you're charging towards the top of what you can charge and maximizing those margins.
I've never really thought about that, and I'd need to give it more thought before I ventured an opinion on it, to be fair. I need to think that one through. But what I will say about a full order book is this. It lures you into a false sense of security.
We've seen this time and time again.
It's good to have a waiting list. We have a waiting list. I have a waiting list for private clients. And people pay to get on that waiting list. They have to pay a deposit. Okay, they can have it back if they want any time, but the rule is if you have your deposit back, you can never work with me again. You know, because you're obviously not serious about it. So consequently, people don't. That's what I would say to that.
And I see this with all sorts of business owners. They believe they've got a 6 month plus long order book, but they haven't really, because they're not taking deposits. They're just booking them in, and when it gets closer to the time, then they're asking for the deposit, and then the work falls through. Now all of a sudden they're scrambling because they're like, "Oh shit, fuck! I thought I had a month's worth of work there. Fuck."
I mean, 6 months is a lifetime in finances, family, business, isn't it? Now, I know one of my old clients, this is going to sound wrong, really bad. One of my old clients went bust because of cash flow. And he had a full order book of over 300 grand. His problem was he took his eye off the ball, couldn't buy, it was a printer, couldn't buy materials to service the print he'd already got, couldn't get any credit. So he had to sell his business with a full order book for 300 grand because he had no cash flow. Well, if he'd been taking deposits and being paid up front, that wouldn't have happened. But he's one of these people who takes some of my advice, but not all of it.
Believes the world works on Scout's honour.
Yeah. And also, I can't emphasize this enough. If you are busy, that is the best time to be marketing because you've got the money to do it. And just as important, you're in the mental space where it doesn't matter if you don't win the work. You can afford to experiment with prices and being a bit of an arsehole, yeah. You can do it in a couple of months' time and I want £1,000 deposit just to come and look at your house type shit. Right? If you are quiet and you've got bills to pay and it's coming towards the 25th of the fucking month and you've got salary to pay at the end of it and you've got no work coming in, it's much harder to look at something which promises to pay you anything and say, fuck it, just get the work in and we'll sort it out later. Just remember, you're often working, and I know this because I work very closely with Anthony Manson, who's much more au fait with the specifics of the finances of construction than I am. And he will say, he says, these guys are working at a loss. You are better off not working and either paying it out of your own pocket or getting a loan from the bank. It's costing you less to do that than it is to go out on site You know, it's insane, but you can't argue with the numbers. Now, that's construction. So perfect storm. And we know this because we've spoken to people recently. Just this week, I spoke to a guy. You know, he's got loads of competition that he didn't have. Prices are being hammered down. And there's not so much work about it. It's just a perfect storm. Well, freelancing is the same. Similar reasons for COVID. You know, everyone was on furlough or laid off. So they just thought, fuck it, what can I do? Oh, I tell you what, I'll just be a freelancer. Copywriting's, you don't need anything to get started. You know, it's website design, you just need a modicum of skill.
There was massive demand for it as well. All of a sudden, everyone went online. All of these businesses were like, "Oh my god, social media is the panacea that we were suspecting it is. We need more blog posts. We need more Instagram posts because it's the only way we can talk to our customers. We need to send more emails." So it was really fucking easy because every business could only operate. Well, they believed they could only operate online throughout COVID. So it was easy for freelancers then.
And remotely.
Yeah, because they were forced to embrace remote work, where a lot of these companies were against that.
Well, now, of course, and I mean, I predicted this, but I noticed the problems very early on because what was happening was lots of these people were going on to these freelance sites like Fiverr, freelancer.com, and a few others, Upwork, and a few others. And I spoke to these people again, and they said, yeah, there's much more competition, so prices are coming down. Well, that's the first fucking warning bell. But of course, no one listened because there was still work out there and loads of it. Well, now, perfect storm again. We're in a shitty economy. We've got people have gone back to the offices. People have found it harder to be a freelancer than they thought. So while there's still more competition, a lot of people have gone back to employment. Well, that means they don't need freelancers anymore. And the recession means the first thing that always goes in a recession, and it's ridiculous. It's entirely the wrong thing to do. But the first thing bigger companies ever do in a recession is cut marketing and advertising. It's the very worst thing they could do. Well, what that means is who's the first person to go when the marketing and advertising is cut? I'll tell you, freelancers. Even though we are the people, good copywriters, good advertising people, good marketers, they are more than worth their weight in gold. They're the first people to go. I remember in the recession of 2007 watching a woman on the BBC website. She was an estate agent, and she was actually saying, it's so bad we've had to stop all our advertising, even though that's the only thing bringing business in. How fucking profoundly stupid can you be? We've got this activity that brings in business. The only thing that brings in business, are we going to stop doing it? You fucking moron.
Oh, God. Yeah, I can't believe the stupidity of many business owners. It never fails to amaze me, actually, the stupidity of a lot of business owners.
No, I mean, I suspect it's everybody. I mean, it's not just business owners. Everybody's profoundly stupid. If you disagree with me, just go and look at the comments on any remotely contentious Daily Mail article online, and you'll see how stupid people are. I actually stopped using the phrase "how stupid can you be" because I think people were taking it as a challenge. You know, I'm very disappointed in the human race, honestly, because they are so stupid
And fat.
and fat and ugly.
And lazy.
Oh, don't even get me started on fucking lazy.
So lazy. Dopamine's far too easy to come by. So now we're
It
just
is, isn't it?
soft. So easy to come by.
Well, we've got an entire industry now, social media, as a range of industries, platforms, with literally billions of people on there. And they're all doing one thing, chasing fucking dopamine. I mean, I know we're all chasing dopamine anyway. I mean, from drug addicts to fucking sex addicts, we're all chasing dopamine. That's what keeps us going. There's a difference. How you get the dopamine matters. If you get it through work and achievement, you get the satisfaction as well. If you don't, it's a little bit like good calories and bad calories, although there's really no such thing as just calories, but there's empty calories like alcohol and junk food laden with fat. They're not good or bad intrinsically, but it's easier to overdose and you don't get that satisfaction. You know, alcohol doesn't fill you up, it makes you hungry.
Very similar to sugar spikes, insulin spikes.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly analogous to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have like, what is it? White bread can cause a severe spike, but then a severe crash.
So we're back to the topic here. We've got two two industries where there's a perfect storm, and I'm familiar with both of them. One, because I am a freelancer myself, and I deal intimately with freelancers. And same with construction. I work with construction guys. So do you. I work with Anthony, who works with construction guys. So I'm very familiar with both industries. It will be the same in many other industries, I'm sure, but I'm just not familiar with those, so I'm not going to venture an opinion. The point being, things are tough, and they're going to get tougher. My news application that I read, as you would expect, is Reuters, which is I read it for two reasons. One, because the news is so fucking boring. I mean, there's no clickbait. There's nothing about celebrities or anything else. It's all factual stuff about economy, war, and stuff that's really seemingly maybe not important to business owners on the ground, but it really is. Because it tells us, it shows us the way the world is going. And I'm telling you right now, we're in for a rough fucking few years. Never mind the idea of, thermonuclear war and stuff like that, slight inconvenience. The economy is fucking tanked. It should be worrying for people, but I think the reason they're not worrying so much and not taking it seriously is anything's got to be better than fucking COVID has been for them.
People don't want to have to deal with it, so they bury their head in the sand. And instead of doing anything about it, I saw something the other day. This was actually newsworthy, apparently. It was Fury as shopper discovers Tesco now sells 2 peppers for the price of 3. And it was a picture of this lady holding up 2 peppers. And then the caption was, "Where's the third?" I was like, for fuck's sake, it's like £1.20.
And people get angry about this.
There's a whole subreddit on Reddit called Compo Face. It's fucking brilliant. It's pictures of like people in front of supermarkets like holding up their bills. Or do you remember the one? It was an old couple, and it was a picture of them standing in front of their Virgin TV, and it was all about how she was fuming because they got charged for a bunch of porn that no one had watched in their house. And the face of this fella, he was there.
Fuck off.
And it was a real article.
No one had watched.
Hundreds of pounds worth of pay-per-view porn.
Right off. Oh, that is brilliant.
But that's
no one had watched. Oh, that is brilliant.
And they quoted him, and his quote in the whole article was, "I don't know how they got there." And it's like, "Yes, you do, you fucking liar." And his Karen of a wife has taken it to the local news, and they've gone into their house and taken a picture in front of their TV set.
So, hang on, I want to backtrack. I want to get this right. I want to make sure I understand this perfectly. So this woman was complaining because there were charges for pay-per-view porn on her TV bill.
Yeah, and they're in their 70s.
Her husband was standing there saying, "I have no idea how this happened." Fucking big smile and a boner. That is fucking brilliant. She believed him.
Apparently so. That's what it said in this article. But the picture was the best thing. She's holding the remote control like this, pointing at the TV. The TV's in the background. And he's kind of leaning towards her almost guiltily, like trying to get close. Will she let me close? And he's got a face like this.
Oh, that is just fucking brilliant. Made my fucking day, that.
I'll send you the article. It's fucking hilarious.
Please do. I'm going to go in and tell Sarah about it when I'm done.
And they even contacted like Virgin Media for comment. They are yet to respond.
I've got no idea how this happened. It's like people, I mean, my mate's a doctor, Dev. Dev's a doctor. Mm-hmm. And he gets people coming into it casualty when he was an intern, and they got their knobs stuck in a fucking vacuum cleaner. These long, convoluted stories. I don't know how this happened. I was doing the vacuum cleaning in the nude. Oh, right, yeah.
I tripped and fell.
Yeah, I tripped and fell, and this fucking large cucumber somehow managed to get covered in Vaseline and stuck up my arsehole. Apparently, my friends tell me, when you use something like that, this is why a butt plug has apparently got a fucking crossbar on it. Because apparently there's some kind of suction if you stick something up your arse.
Yes, it's got a flat base.
Yeah, and if you don't have anything there to stop it going in, these things can get sucked up. Hence, people appearing in casualty with inanimate objects, long cylindrical inanimate objects stuck up their bum and no way to get it out. Did I ever tell you how I met Dev? No, it wasn't. It was a business thing.
Was it after a
Honestly,
trip and a fall, John?
funnily enough, yeah. I was carrying this pot of Vaseline in one hand and a cucumber in the other. I tripped and fell forwards, and the two connected. I twisted as I fell, and it accidentally went up my bum. And funnily enough, at the same time, I was running up hidden porn charges. I got no idea how that happened.
And then you went home for dinner after a long day, and you opened your fridge and you found 2 peppers instead of 3, and it just ruined the whole thing.
Perfect storm. There is only one solution. Well, there are 2 things you can do, but there's only one solution. You can do nothing if you want. I spoke to a guy this week. Nice bloke. We could help him. But he would rather keep doing what he's been doing for I don't know how long. Somehow thinking that, because he's parting words with me. Well, I said, well, okay, no pressure here, but what are you going to do to change things? Oh, I'm just going to keep working until I've got money to be able to join you. Okay, fair enough. But that makes sense on a superficial level. But what are you going to do to make that money? Because the reason you're talking to me now is you don't have any, or you're not making any, and you're struggling. And you've just told me if things don't change in the next 12 months, you might have to go and get a job, which you don't want to do. What are you going to do that's different? And they have no answer for it. And I don't, if I was a classical traditional salesman, I would poke that, and I would try and coerce them and
You
coach
drill
them
into it.
and putting it onto a credit card. I don't do that. I'm not interested. I just don't want to do that. I don't need the money that badly, and I would rather have people who have joined me because they actually really want to, not because I've scared them into it. And because I've been on the receiving end of that kind of sales pitch, and I don't like it.
No, it's not fun.
That's just to put. So I'm not saying it won't work, of course, because it will. I just choose not to do it. But the thing is, these people, they won't. Nothing's going to change for them. And the other thing you can do is you can actually invest your time and money. It's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I know it is, but we give you a double your money back guarantee on a very large sum of money. You cannot possibly fucking lose. And no one else in our industry gives even slightly as good a guarantee as that. And for the same reason we do. We all know how good our stuff is.
Yeah. And one of the reasons you're not pushy on the call where you're going to be closing them is typically salespeople will go down that route. They'll twist the knife and they'll be like, well, you're just going to go back, do the same actions, get them to say it back to them and all of this. So are you going to get the same results? There's not going to be any extra money. You're never going to join us. Yada, yada, yada. And then they whip out the guarantee again. They whip it out and they make the whole thing around the guarantee. Look, you've really got nothing to lose. How much money you got in your bank? Let's take a deposit. Look at the guarantee. Look at the guarantee. If you get someone signing up because of your guarantee and because you've been a really pushy salesman, you're going to have a really shit client and you're going to have a nice and high refund rate. And if you offer such an audacious guarantee, such as ours, where we double a large amount of money, we will double a large amount of money and give you
And
a
a free
pizza. Yeah. To help you apologise to the missus for having risked such a large amount of money.
Cucumber and Vaseline.
Yeah. If you get people just joining because you guarantee, you're going to have a very shit time. You're going to hate your clients. You're going to hate your life. You're going to wake up, feel stressed every day because you're like, oh my God, if someone claims this guarantee, fuck. So
yeah, I
don't be
mean,
pushy.
our guarantee
Just be
is,
good.
and this is very rare for us. Our guarantee is conditional on you doing the work, and it ain't because we don't want to give you the money back. It's because if you do the work, you'll get the results, so you don't have to. It's
Quick pro
simple as
quo,
that.
isn't it? We might look like magicians, but we can't wave that wand for you. We're like Miss Garlic in Harry Potter. We can only teach you how to wave your wand. We can't wave your wand for you. Yeah, how about that for an analogy?
I think talking about wand waving in the same conversation as pornography is a bit suspect myself.
There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong
But
with
honestly, it does my head in. How people will tell me they've got this burning problem, they'll do anything to fix until it comes to fixing it, and then it's not that bad. Well, you're lying to yourself or lying to me.
I
And
really
it ain't
think
going to
it's
fix itself.
head in the sand. I think it's an emu. That's what I think
I
it is.
find it incredibly frustrating because, well, to backtrack a little bit, I was speaking to Dev about this, and he says there's a lot of pattern recognition in medicine. This is how you can go to a consultant, say, and get a what looks like a complex diagnosis very quickly. And it's just a pattern matching. And because they're so experienced, a professor or somebody, they've done this for decades. They get, not intuition, it's just pattern matching. Well, I do it in business. I can speak to someone on the phone about their business or in a bar, and within a 5 or 10 minutes, I know exactly what their problems are and how to fix them. It's not complicated, and it's frustrating when they don't see it or can't see it or won't listen. Right? They don't think critically. I mean, it doesn't require a genius. It requires no business or marketing knowledge whatsoever to follow the chain of thought. You've been doing this stuff for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years. You've got this far with it. You're now telling me you're not going to invest or change your mind about anything, and you're going to keep doing it and somehow have different results. How is that going to work, do you think? Why will it suddenly start working when it hasn't worked for the last 10 or 15 years?
Oh, it's every person who considers themselves intelligent at this point would whip out the older the definition of insanity, not the credit card. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's why core control has been so impactful for the people that are going through it currently and are joining us each week. It's not we're offering tic tacs and tweaks. We're ripping out their cell system. We're ripping out their shitty 1.2 litre engine and putting in a 5 litre turbo V8 monster. It's completely
Definitely.
different.
You shouldn't laugh, but it's I can see the fun in it, or the funny side of it. Before my mum died, she was obviously quite ill and in decline, and I went round to hers once with Sarah, and my dad was there, and she gave quite a long emotional thing about how shit things were and how she was feeling. And I said, well, what are you going to do about it then? Because that's my stock answer to everyone. Okay, not much empathy, but what are you going to do about it? Oh, I don't know, but I'll do something. And you know what she did do? She fucking did nothing and died. That's what she did. It's true. Now, it's 15, 16 years ago now, more 2005, 2004. It's coming up for 20 years-ish. But she did nothing except nothing and die. That's what she did. Well, it was unnecessary. She was only 78.
That is
And
very
that's a bit fucking
unnecessary.
harsh. It is, but
It's a
it
good
sounds like...
analogy.
My dad did the same thing. Dad did the same thing. He broke his hip, and at that point, his life, his world started to close in on him because he became fearful and fretful about going out the door in case he fell and broke his hip again. And I said to him, Dad, you can't carry on like this because your world's closing in. You're losing strength. You're losing muscle. I said, what are you going to do? And he said, I'll think about going to the gym or something. Well, guess what happened? He died as well. The theme here, guys.
Yeah, people, and especially business owners, tend to be a little bit overconfident, overestimate how strong their willpower is, and fly on the wings of inspiration, don't they? They just do everything on a moment of inspiration, moment of, aha, I've got an idea for once.
Well, let's circle back to dopamine, all right? And we're going to talk about this in detail next week. So a bit of a heads up here, and just to round this off. What will happen is with most people, and I mean most people, because we see it happening. It's, again, human nature. What they will do is they will take their problems, their challenges, their fears, their optimism, their hope, their dreams, their self-absorbed fucking navel gazing, and they will talk about it on social media. Business owners primarily on LinkedIn. What does that do? Well, a trouble shared is the trouble halved. It's dopamine. They'll feel better talking about their problems because it just feels better. But it doesn't materially change your situation. You can go and see a psychiatrist or a psychologist and have a good talking session, and they can give you a map and what they call interventions, things to do. You can read a book on stoicism, but if you don't do the fucking exercises and don't do the work on yourself, it'll make no difference whatsoever. And it's the same here. Going on social media, talking about this stuff and how you're gonna do stuff and what you're planning to do is, you feel good, but it's empty calories. It's the alcohol. It's the fucking junk food. It doesn't materially change anything. There's no achievement there. It is only a good feeling. You'll get a better feeling. You'll get the same feeling, the good feeling, the dopamine, but it will feel better. It will be more wholesome if you get it through achieving something. Remember, success is not a destination. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal, something you're working towards. a black belt in karate, growing a business, making a relationship work, going into the gym and getting stronger, me, my mobility, that kind of thing. That's a real sense of achievement. Getting the dopamine hit from going on to LinkedIn, fucking TikTok, watching birds dancing and commenting on this stuff, going onto Instagram and getting a following and getting loads of likes, shares, comments, and views on your inane, self-absorbed, navel-gazing, narcissistic prattle is a waste of your fucking time.
And if you want to do hard shit, and it's hard building a business, you've got to be doing hard shit daily. It's got to be outside of business too. You've got to be challenging yourself constantly. Otherwise, your brain will essentially relapse and you'll reach for that Snickers and you'll reach for the TikTok and you'll reach for any other asinine shit that just melts your brain. You got to get good at delaying gratification. You got to get good at doing hard things. And eventually hard things will become easy and you'll do even harder things and you'll get even bigger and better results. You got to stop that dopamine machine because it's the number one thing killing business owners at the moment. There's a reason the productivity niche has never been so popular, and it's because people have no impulse control. I've never seen so many productivity coaches. I've never seen so many productivity guides. I've never seen so many productivity videos, which is really ironic in itself. That rather than doing things, people are watching this and trying to find a system that works for them, other than just stop it, just fucking work. Just fucking work. You know what you got to do. Get up and you fucking do it. Don't open TikTok. Don't eat like shit. Don't skip the gym. Don't watch another video on how to get 5 minutes back in your day because you just watched 20 minutes discovering how to get 5 minutes back, you twat. You know what you need to do every single day. And trust me, I'm into systems. John's even got an old program called Get Shit Done. We're not against this stuff, but fundamentally it boils down to stop being a little pussy. You know what you need to do every day, so fucking do it.
Now there's an episode for us.
What, Get Shit Done?
No, weakness. Why we despise weak people.
Yeah.
Because this is weakness.
It's irritating. But this is also another reason why something like Core Control is good. I'm not going to call him out, but he's a lovely guy. He's a little bit timid, and he was struggling to get a lead magnet done. It was just taking forever. And he turned up to one of the open office hours, and he said, "Connor, here's everything I've done." And I was like, "Mate, come on, get it done faster." He was like, "I'm struggling with it." I said, "I don't care. Get it done faster. Like, just get it done. Like, just make some steps forward. Struggle. It's not meant to be easy." So I said,
Tell it to the
"What I want
hand
you to
because
do."
the face ain't listening.
Yeah, exactly. I said, "Turn up next week to the next open office hours. And this can even be shorter. I just want to see something different. I just want to see that you've struggled a little bit more, but you've got some positive out of it." And he did. He turned up the following week, and his shitty little lead magnet became something quite good. And that's just having a little bit of accountability and someone to say, "Shut up. Go away and work. I'm not here to listen to your crap. I want to see you in a week's time." Like a hard father, even though I'm 26. Like, shut up, I'm not hearing it. Go away, do the work, come back and show me what you did. If you don't do that, I'm going to be really fucking disappointed.
It's what choir boys need, isn't it? A hard father.
It's the last thing they
On
need.
which topic?
We've got a quick question from the Bronze Group.
Oh, yeah.
So
What's
we're going to answer that because we promised these people. Before I do that, I just want to shout out my man Joe. I don't know your second name, but we had a great discussion about social media and the outcome of that discussion about social media within the Bronze Group. And if you want to join that, you have to buy the book, wellfedfreelancer.com. If you're not a freelancer, still buy it anyway. You get you access 8 additional bonuses. We've got a new book coming out soon. Anyway, I'll finish my point. We had a conversation about social media and it boiled down. What are you doing, John?
10 bonuses.
10 bonuses. 10 bonuses now. Fucking hell. It all boils down to you got to treat social media as a process and you have to judge its results accordingly. If you're not getting results, it's a shit process. And likes aren't results. And then we've got a question from Manuel on premium pricing. John, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
He said, "When I am dealing with an arsehole, it is easy. I think the premium price was a good selector. The problem comes when I am faced with a person who is nice or with whom I have a good relationship or whom I would like as a customer anyway, but they are able to ask for a discount in such a way that I find it really difficult to say no empathetically. In that case, I always give in, at least a little, and then I always regret it. Of course, it'd be enough to start with a higher price at the beginning that allows room for negotiation. In that case, the problem may arise of seeming overpriced or risking losing the negotiation before starting it.
So what's the question?
He hasn't really asked a question, has he? There, I think he's saying I'm too nice and I give discounts to people that I want to have a good relationship with. So how do I stop doing that? How do I handle nice people that ask for discounts? And do I start with a higher price at the beginning to allow room for negotiation?
No, because you don't discount. Discounts are forbidden in my world. All right. The only time I would excuse it or even consider it myself is if someone was putting me on retainer. That's slightly different because you can offset your ongoing marketing costs you would require to get, say, 5 clients over a 5-month period. Okay. You can say, well, I've got 1 client over 5 months, so I'm going to defray those costs as a discount. That would be okay, I suppose. But otherwise, no discounts. Now, there's a few things wrong with this whole scenario. The first is you're assuming price is important to people, or the most important thing. Okay. Now, it may be in these instances, in these contexts, but if it is, it's only because you've not sold the value of what you're doing enough. When I, for instance, was talking to Optical Express about my eyes because I was going blind, okay, the question of price never ever came up. Not only did I not ask for a discount, I wasn't in the slightest bit interested in saving money. I was interested in saving my eyesight. All right. Now that's might think is an extreme, but let's think about something that's not an extreme. I work with Toby Swallow, the mobility guy. Well, why don't I quibble his prices, even though I told him to put the fucking things up, so I've made a rod for my own back? Well, how about this? In 13 years, 12 years, I will be 70. And I don't want to be hauling myself off the toilet in 12 years' time with a handrail because I've not paid a fairly substantial amount of money to improve my mobility. All right, the money's not important. Dragging myself off the shitter is. Falling over when I leave the house and breaking hip and dying like my father, that is. All right. So you're not selling yourself properly if people are still asking for discounts. Now, if you want to forestall this process, one is improve your sales process. 2, make it clear up front. Please don't ask for a discount because you won't get one. No one would ask me for a discount because I make it clear that ever happens. Okay. Now, if you do find yourself being asked for a discount, and I'm not quite sure about the empathy thing, and you want to say no in a fairly polite way, well, forget empathy, forget emotion. Emotion has no place in these things. Let's get objective about it and ask this person if they ask for a discount. Well, I could, but consider this. I can't give you the best service and the best quality delivery and the lowest price. Which one of those 3 do you not want? Do you want low quality? Do you want shit service? Or do you want a low price? Okay, now that's fucking salesmanship 101 right from the 70s. But it works because I've never had anyone say to me, or I never heard of any it being said to anyone else who's used that technique, oh, I don't give a shit about the quality or service. I'll have a low price, thank you very much. It doesn't happen. Not if you're selling quality stuff for a good reason to solve an important problem. Something else you can say is, well, imagine if I give you a discount, so you're paying less for the same quality and service. I'm delivering to clients I've been working with for 5 or 10 years. I've got a good relationship with these people. How do you think that's going to make me look in their eyes when they're getting the same thing to someone new for less? I'm not prepared to do it. All those things will work. Really, it's about you growing a pair and learning to say no. A great book for you to read, Manuel, would be A Woman in Your Own Right. Okay, I'm not being rude here or disparaging to you because that book is required reading in my world. It's not recommended, it's required. If anyone wants to work with me as a one-on-one client, they have to read that book. I read it 35 years ago. It changed my life. It's by a lady called Anne Dixon, Anne Dixon, Dixon. There's a 40th anniversary copy. It's about 14 quid, but you can get a first or second edition for about 2 quid secondhand on Amazon. They're all fine. That book changed my life. It will change yours because it will get you being able to say no. It will get you being able to say no discounts without any problems at all. And if you really want to do it properly, hey, think about joining us for Core Control because we teach this stuff all the time. Think that's a good answer?
Yes. If you too want your questions answered, or at least have the opportunity, join us in the bronze community. As I said, the price of admission is the book. wellfedfreelancer.com until the new book is ready, when John pulls his finger out on that one. Yeah, look at that little
Well,
smirk.
I'd probably get it done sooner if I wasn't having to fix your mess you caused by not recording the fucking training yesterday.
This is why people should turn up live. Nothing in life is guaranteed.
Here I go. Look, see, if you're watching this, people, this is Connor. This is a metaphor for Connor. He had one fucking job, just like that woman had one job parking her car. Connor had one job yesterday, and he failed because he's a failure. He's a loser.
And on that note,
On that note,
thank you
I
very
love him
much for.
dearly, nonetheless.
And on that note, thank you very much for listening. The pleasure's all yours. If you want to get inside the bronze community, go to wellfedfreelancer.com and buy yourself a book. It's a fucking $5. But if you're more serious with a bigger business and you want to work with us privately, who should they email? Email Holly. Email Holly, HOLLY, at wellfedbusiness.com. And tell her a little bit about the problems and the challenges that you're facing. And we'll take it from there. Anything to add, John?
No, that works.
Perfect. And on that note, sayonara, bitches.
See you next week.